Latino literature in the U.S. dates back to the early 1500s, and it's an important part of our history and culture. We discuss how new writers are getting their start right here in our region. And the right start for newborns is a concern for all parents, and we get some useful advice from an expert. It's so here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. Latino literature in the U.S. dates back to the early conquistadors, and it's an important part of our history and culture. Helping to encourage and motivate the new writers of today and tomorrow is Janae Chesek-Aguero. She is the founder and publisher of Motivos Magazine, and she's here to discuss her contribution in this effort. Janae, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you for having me, Bert.
Now, I know when I was with NBC 40, you were in the show here in Latino Motion, had some of the youth with you.
Yes,
and
years ago.
Yeah, you continue to do that work, great work with Motivos Magazine. Tell me a little bit about the magazine.
Sure. Well, we just hit our 10-year anniversary, so it's quite a milestone. I have to remind myself to pause and just honor that, because it's a lot of work by a lot of people. So the anniversary was a sold-out celebration, and there were, as I call them, angels there who were by my side from before I ever launched the magazine, who believed in me and believed in my vision. There were alumni, so students who were part of our magazine.
I know we have the layout of all the magazines, a lot of the magazines here, you probably can't see them, but just want to point out the first edition of the magazine. So you're still in touch with a lot of those.
With a lot of the students, and they came back for the gala. So wow. Nadija came up from University of Miami. Sasha, who you met at the last show, she's in Philadelphia, she was there. Alan came up from Virginia, 9-hour bus ride. Sarah from DC, Carolina from Maryland. So we really had a good turnout, and the students who were part of it back in the day, who are now columnists, got to meet the current group that's on our Media Mentor Advisory Board that meets weekly.
So tell me how that group got started and how the group, the students get involved currently with the magazine.
Yeah, sure. So it stems back really to a conversation I had with the then executive director of a cultural organization in Philadelphia called Raíces Culturales. She was talking with me about her nephew who lives in Texas, and he thought because his paperwork wasn't in order to be considered a resident that he couldn't get the in-state tuition to go to college. And she was telling him about the DREAM Act. Now this is way back in 2005, 2006, before I launched the magazine. And I thought, wow, how many students out there don't have an aunt in the know like him, who could say, hey, there's something in place. Actually, you can be in the process to become a resident, to get in-state tuition, to go to college. And it turned out there were 65,000 high school graduates per year at that time, right, who don't have the paperwork in order yet. And so I said, this is crazy, because that many students thinking, oh, I have to work under the table rather than be an engineer, it takes away their motivation to work hard in school and to go to college. And so that was part of what made me say, what can I do to bring more resources, more powerful testimonials of students who've done it and get it into the hands of students who need that information.
So you're reaching those students through the testimonials themselves, as well as getting them involved in writing the stories.
Yeah.
And you're mentoring them and touring them on how to go about this process.
It's an interesting structure, if you think about it, because there's the print magazine, right? And that comes out quarterly. And we're now in 1,032 schools, libraries, and prisons in 42 states, in 4 countries. That's one aspect, where the stories are through the print, and there's an educator toolkit to the liaison teachers that use it to engage the students with the content.
So you're right into some of the school systems?
They subscribe to the magazine, they become partner schools. So that's one part. The other part is, as you mentioned, the Media Mentoring Weekly program that happens in Philadelphia, and that many teachers also take on into their particular schools. So in that program, the students are mentored on writing, on interviewing, on editing, on presenting publicly. They go out to festivals and present and try to engage other youth.
No matter where you are, if you're in New Jersey or in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, although you're located primarily in Pennsylvania, students down here in New Jersey could still get involved with the magazine as writers.
Anyone can subscribe to the magazine. Anyone can say, hey, our organization would like to get it. How can you help us? Even if you don't have money, we can help you find grants. We might be able to find a university to sponsor high schools, like Cabrini University sponsors 3 schools, for example. So there's plenty of ways to get it. We do trades with community organizations. So we'll give them the magazine, and they might give us space at a festival. So any way to make it possible for the students to get the content, that's the goal, is to really take advantage of the power of testimonial, the power of a story, so the student can see, hey, they're from where I'm from, and they did that.
Tell me about one of those testimonials that sticks in your mind.
There's so many. Well, I think of the latest edition. So this is Maria Carla Chicoen. She is a Cuban immigrant. She came to Miami, and her dream was to go to Harvard. Now, she came to this country when she was 14, I think, and she tried the best she could. She found a student in another school who advised her, and he had gotten into Harvard, and he advised her saying, well, you have this in place, well, you have this, you need this and this. She got into Harvard. And now she's written a book. She's helped other students get into Harvard. It's not to say that she can get you into Harvard, but it is to say that you can be a newcomer in this country with not a lot of resources, with not a lot of connections, and learn from someone who's ahead of you on the path. And so we are there to connect you to a larger family, a larger network, if you will.
And you, in those 10 years, you certainly have touched a lot of youth. I understand that over 10,000 youth have benefited from your workshops, your media camps, and your mentoring program. So that's a tremendous accomplishment over those 10 years, and certainly.
Well, the student, and what's cool is that the students have grown through that. So I think of Juan Ulin, for example. He was in the ESL program we ran for the school district of Philadelphia. He was a new immigrant from Guatemala. Now he's on a path to citizenship. He's at Community College of Philadelphia. He bought a car. He has a job. So these students have gone along, and he's still part of the magazine, and he wants to transfer to Temple to do broadcast communications.
Well, you're certainly living up to the name, Motivos. You're motivating these students, which is a great thing. We want to continue this discussion. We want to take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We'll continue our discussion with Janae Chesek Agüero. She is the founder and publisher of Motivos Magazine, and we were just having a good discussion about the magazine, how kids are involved with the magazine. But we want to talk a little bit more about the hands-on approach you take with schools.
Sure.
So let's talk about what you do for the schools.
Absolutely. So a school would typically subscribe. They could get one copy for their library, for example, or a classroom set.
So how do they use them in their educational?
Yeah, or the department could get them, right? And the way they use it is with what we call an educator toolkit. Mm-hmm. The toolkit comes with a scavenger hunt and writing prompts. And the scavenger hunt is broken down according to the Common Core, so it's very easy for a teacher to implement it in their curriculum. We've gotten great feedback. Teachers love using it for their substitute teacher as well because it's quick and easy. It's got critical thinking, creative writing, math, all the sections, and it helps the students engage with the content, and then they dialogue. So now they're saying their dreams out loud and they're gathering a support group around them, and the teacher, the adult in the room, becomes aware of what he or her students want to do with their life and can connect them with local resources to do that. The writing prompts are kind of a forecast as to what the next theme will be, and the deadline by which you need to submit your poem or your response to a writing prompt or an article, or report back about something really cool that you and your peers are doing at your school to inspire other youth reading the magazine to try something like that in their school.
And you also offer workshops. Tell me a little bit about the
We
workshops.
do. So we'll come into a school, we can do writing workshops, we've done poetry workshops, video creation workshops. These could take place over 6 weeks in the summer. So we've done that for groups like the Salvation Army or an entire school district, or a Gear Up program, for example. Or it could be a single session. Usually it's a series of 3. So there's a brainstorming and exampling, modeling, and then they're doing it, and then they're editing and presenting. And typically they're creating content that is then considered for publishing in the magazine. So we also do leadership development workshops. So there's a workshop called What It Takes to Succeed, Passion and Practicality in the Real World. And it's great for juniors and seniors in high school, deciding what their major should be in college. It's great for seniors in college deciding what the heck do I do now that I have this degree. It really helps them narrow in on what's their wow factor. What makes them come alive? How can they use their talents and their passions with people that they love being with, that bring out the best in them in a work environment? So those are just some of the workshops that we do.
And you also bring renowned speakers as well. Tell me a little bit about
We
some of
do.
the speakers.
So one of the national partnerships we have is with the U.S. Hispanic Leadership Institute. They're based in Chicago. They're coming up on their 35th anniversary, and their annual conference is in February, so we'll be bringing students there. They have a network of nationally renowned motivational speakers for the Latino market. And their stories are very compelling. They're very relevant to many of the students that we serve. And so if a school gets a classroom set or more, we have the opportunity to bring them a speaker as well, and usually at no or very low cost to the school. So in 2016, for example, we reached an additional 8,600 students directly with motivational assemblies.
Let's talk about the call for submission. So
Okay.
Students have the opportunity to submit their poem, their writings, or their testimonials. Tell me a little bit about that.
So for example, I get a phone call today from a student at Hollywood Hills High School in Florida, and she says, my teacher gave me this magazine, and she said I can write for you guys. How? Well, that's a great question. So we have deadlines 4 times a year, and you can submit your poems, your artwork, an article. And so I kind of asked her a few questions, and it turns out she went to a leadership boot camp, and I said, okay, well, how was your mindset transformed? What did you gain from that experience? Can you share that in an article so other students who didn't have that opportunity could learn and be inspired and uplifted from your work? And she said, oh, okay. So, and I gave her an extension on her deadline, because to me, that was effort. She picked up the phone and she was excited to do it. I'm not gonna say, oh, you missed the deadline. I'm gonna say, okay, you got another week, But a student should not be afraid of missing a deadline. It's a quarterly. If you miss one deadline, you're in time for the next one.
We'll put up the website with that information so students that want to submit know how to go about it.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for sharing this information with our audience. And please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. An early start for newborns is very important and a concern for all parents. Joining me is Liz Chan. She is the founder and owner of Pretty Mama Breastfeeding to give useful advice for new moms. Liz, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you for having me.
So why is it so critical for new moms to breastfeed their newborns?
Well, wow, that's a great question and a big question. And I'm glad that you're asking me that because more moms need to understand the power with breastfeeding. It is important for many benefits that the mom will give to the baby for growing because the infant, is at that stage that requires the nourishment and the nutrition that the mom can provide to the baby it has all the benefits from the mom in terms of antibodies, the chemistry of the mom is almost transferred directly. It's a relationship from the very beginning, and then that relationship, the bonding, there is emotional aspect, there is a health aspect, there is a physical aspect. There are many components in terms of the science of human milk that passes from the mom to the baby in terms of the antibodies and the protections.
The problems that we see, and I'm sure you see in your business, is the fact that new moms only breastfeed for a couple weeks or a couple months, and then they have to go back to work.
Correct. Yes. So that's a key issue right there, that when a mom comes to me for counseling, I explain to her that there are ways to go into work around the hectic schedules of going back to work. And there are also ways for the mom to communicate to the employee, the company where she works, that she had a newborn and she wants to breastfeed the baby, and so she needs some time to hand express or to pump, to use the pump to remove her milk. And I explained to the mom, these are the options and these are the ways that you can go about this. We can provide the mom, we usually provide the mom with a step 1, a step 2, and a step 3 for the mom to do.
This is the kind of services that you yourself provide through your business, Pretty Mama Breastfeeding.
Correct.
So these moms, they reach out to you, they get referred to you by the hospitals and others?
There are many ways that people know about my business through social media, through mom-to-mom conversations, and through pediatricians that I go to in organizations that I belong to, and I volunteer a lot.
I'm assuming that it doesn't always come natural. Sometimes you need the expert like yourself to help new moms, and particularly those moms that are perhaps moms for the very first time may need a little bit of coaching, a little assistance. That's where you come in.
Correct. So most moms do not understand how the whole process works at the beginning because although it's natural, it doesn't come that easy. Each baby is different and each pregnancy is different. And so the coaching is so important, to have that person who's an expert to tell the mom, yeah, your baby is gaining weight. Your baby is actually sucking and removing the right amount of milk. It's growing. Your baby is healthy. Your baby is not starving.
Now, we do see more states that are more friendly towards women breastfeeding. New Jersey's working in that, is that correct?
Correct. New Jersey, it's been working really hard to get legislation. But this is very involved with the politics and everything that comes from the top to the bottom. But moms can absolutely engage in conversation with the senators, with the people that have power to change policy, so then they can advocate for themselves, that this is important for all of us women in terms of women's health.
Now, one of the things that you had mentioned to me is that new expecting moms should look for baby-friendly hospitals. What does that mean?
Yes, baby-friendly is an initiative that the UNICEF and World Health Organization started way back in the 90s. And what they want to do is they give an approval and a stamp to hospitals that go through many stages of organizing themselves to protect the relationship between the mom and the baby through breastfeeding. And so they had to get a credit through the World Health Organization. They had to organize their staff. They had to train all the employees in the hospital within the duration that they had to support the mom for breastfeeding and around the community. And so once the hospital gets that stamp, the hospital is more than capable to provide excellent support to the moms in their babies.
And I know that with Obamacare or Affordable Care Act kind of being in influx with the new administration, there's still some benefits that parents should look into for breast pump and other piece of equipment, correct?
Correct, yes. So the Affordable Care Act provides moms with counseling. The mom can contact the insurance company, and the insurance company should provide them with a breast pump. The insurance company will send the breast pump to the mom once the mom is pregnant. And then there are many kinds, and then the insurance should be able to provide them with assistance in terms of who are the lactation professionals in the community that can provide assistance.
Such as yourself.
Correct.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for sharing this information with our audience, and thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.